Warm greetings to all. We appreciate you for tuning in. Do subscribe and share our content if you find it valuable. Today, we'll delve into the historical origins of the term refugee, tracing its roots back to the ancient concept of seeking asylum. Picture this. The year is AD 600 and King Ethelbert of Kent is codifying the first law of asylum into existence. This law was not an isolated incident, as similar laws were implemented throughout Europe during the Middle Ages, offering shelter and protection to those in need. Fast forward to the 17th century, and we find one of the major refugee situations in history unfolding. The mass exodus of Huguenots from France after the Edict of Fontainebleau in 1685 marked a significant moment in the historical narrative of refugees. These Protestants were escaping religious persecution, seeking safety and freedom in foreign lands. As we turn the pages of history and step into the late 19th and early 20th centuries, we encounter another significant refugee situation. The Jewish emigration from Eastern Europe, driven by the twin pressures of socio-economic hardship and rising anti-Semitism, resulted in a large-scale movement of people desperate for a safe haven. In 1921, the League of Nations established the first international coordination of refugee affairs with the creation of the High Commission for Refugees, marking a turning point in the global approach to refugee crises. As we can see, the plight of refugees is not a new phenomenon, but one deeply entrenched in our global history. Now that we've explored the historical context, let's delve into the modern understanding of who refugees are. The term refugee has evolved considerably over time. In the early 20th century, the League of Nations gave us the first modern definition of a refugee, marking a significant milestone in international law. This was later expanded upon by the United Nations in 1951 through the Refugee Convention. According to this convention, a refugee is someone outside their country of nationality, unable or unwilling to return due to fear of persecution based on factors such as race, religion, nationality, social group, or political opinion. But the definition didn't stop evolving there. Regional declarations, such as the Cartagena Declaration on Refugees in Latin America, went a step further. They expanded the definition to include individuals fleeing from generalized violence, foreign aggression, or other circumstances seriously disturbing public order. Similarly, the European Union's definition aligns with the UN's, but it also offers subsidiary protection to those fleeing war-caused generalized violence or facing death penalty, torture, or other inhuman or degrading treatments. These definitions not only provide us with a clear understanding of who refugees are, but also lay the groundwork for international efforts to protect and support them. Having defined who refugees are, it's time to explore what they go through. Let's talk about resettlement, relocation, and integration. When we think about refugees, we often picture people fleeing their homeland due to fear of persecution or danger. But what happens after they cross the border? This is where the process of resettlement and relocation comes in. Resettlement is an organized process that involves the selection of refugees, their transfer, and their arrival in a new country. It's not a task taken lightly, as it involves several logistical challenges, from assessing the safety of the destination to arranging transportation and ensuring a warm welcome upon arrival. Relocation, on the other hand, is a more individualized transfer. Each refugee or refugee family has their unique needs, and these are considered during relocation. It could be a matter of reuniting with family members already in the new country, or moving to a place where their skills and experiences are in demand. But the journey doesn't end here. Once resettled and relocated, refugees face the long-term challenge of integration. This is more than just learning a new language or getting used to new food. It's about adjusting to an entirely different way of life, navigating new social norms, and finding a sense of belonging in a foreign land. Refugee integration is a multifaceted process, focusing on social, cultural, and structural dimensions. It involves providing access to basic necessities like housing and healthcare, ensuring legal rights and documentation, and meeting short-term survival needs. But beyond this, it also involves helping refugees engage in economic activities that align with their professional goals, providing them with opportunities for economic security and career advancement. The process of integration is not just about the refugees, it's also about the host society. It's a two-way street that requires understanding, acceptance, and mutual respect. The host society has to open its doors and its hearts, embracing cultural diversity and recognizing the valuable contributions that refugees can make. The journey of a refugee doesn't end with leaving their homeland, it's just the beginning of a complex process of adjustment and integration. The challenges are many, but with the right support and opportunities, refugees can rebuild their lives and become integral members of their new communities. While political conflict and persecution have been traditional causes of displacement, there's a new challenge on the horizon: climate change. This emerging crisis is creating a new category of refugees, those displaced not by human conflict, but by rising sea levels, extreme weather, and other environmental disasters. These are the climate refugees. Recent years have seen an unprecedented rise in the number of people displaced due to natural disasters. From hurricanes to wildfires, droughts to floods, the climate crisis is forcing millions to leave their homes in search of safer ground. In fact, last year alone, over 32 million people were displaced from their homes due to natural disasters. This is the highest figure we've seen in a decade. The geographical distribution of this displacement is far from even. Island nations, particularly those in the Caribbean and the Pacific, are on the front lines of this crisis. These regions are especially susceptible to hurricanes, droughts, and changes in rainfall patterns, leaving their residents highly vulnerable to displacement. But it's not just about geographical vulnerability. Climate change, like many global crises, impacts the most marginalized communities the hardest. Indigenous, Black, Brown, and low-income communities are disproportionately affected by the climate crisis. These groups often have fewer resources to adapt to climate change and are more likely to live in areas that are particularly vulnerable to environmental disasters. By the year 2070, projections suggest that 19% of the planet could become a barely habitable hot zone, triggering massive migrations worldwide. This would fundamentally reshape our world, turning millions into climate refugees. Climate change is reshaping our understanding of displacement, adding a new dimension to the refugee crisis. As our world changes, so too must our policies and our actions. We must recognize the rights of climate refugees and work towards solutions that protect the most vulnerable among us. It's not just a matter of environmental justice, but of human rights and dignity as well. So what can we do to help? Let's explore some possible solutions. The plight of refugees is a global concern, a pressing issue that demands collective action. It's not just about offering shelter, but also about providing a pathway to a dignified life. This is where the role of policies comes into play. Strengthened policies that prioritize the rights of refugees can significantly improve their living conditions and future prospects. At the heart of these policies should be a commitment to social justice. Why? Because the countries that contribute the least to global crises often bear the brunt of their effects. For instance, the nations most vulnerable to climate change are often those with the lowest greenhouse gas emissions. Recognizing this imbalance is crucial to ensuring that our policies are fair and just. So how can we strengthen these policies? One way is by expanding the definition of refugee. Currently, this term refers primarily to those fleeing conflict or persecution. But as we've seen, climate change is becoming an increasingly common cause of displacement. Recognizing the rights of climate refugees is therefore a necessary step towards protecting those most vulnerable to environmental disasters. Another key aspect of strengthening policies involves supporting refugees throughout their journey, from resettlement and relocation to long-term integration. This means not only providing immediate survival needs like housing and healthcare, but also facilitating access to education and legal rights. All these elements are integral to helping refugees build a new life and become full and equal participants in their receiving societies. Finally, we need to remember that policies are not just about laws and regulations. They're about fostering a culture of empathy and understanding. By recognizing the rights of refugees, we're not just offering them protection, we're acknowledging their humanity and their right to live a life free from fear and persecution. By strengthening policies and recognizing the rights of refugees, we can help ensure their safety and well-being. As we come to the end of this exploration of the refugee situation, let's reflect on what we've learned. From the earliest definition of asylum seekers in the Middle Ages to the modern-day challenges faced by refugees, we've journeyed through time and across borders. We've seen how resettlement, relocation, and workforce integration are integral to refugees' survival and how they strive to become equal participants in their new societies. In recent times, we've also seen the emergence of a new category of displaced individuals, climate refugees. They are the silent victims of a changing climate, forced to leave their homes due to natural disasters and environmental degradation. This has underscored the pressing need to strengthen policies and ensure the rights of all those displaced. So, let's not forget the human faces behind these statistics. Each refugee, whether they're fleeing persecution, war, or climate change, has a unique narrative filled with resilience and hope. As global citizens, it's our responsibility to keep ourselves informed, to empathize, and to act. Thank you for joining us in this journey of understanding. Let's remember, every refugee has a story worth hearing, a life worth valuing. Until next time, stay informed and stay compassionate.